Welcome back to the Upstream Life podcast. This week we are featuring a podcast we recorded for our friends at Mercy International. We were so moved by the conversation we wanted to feature it on our podcast. We hope you enjoy this story as Joshua Trotter opens up about growing up in Haiti, being adopted, and moving to the U.S. Also, be sure to check out Mercy International. We will link their website below. We thank you guys so much for joining us every week. Enjoy the episode.
This is Joshua Trotter. I first met Joshua, oh my goodness, 2009 probably, in a mountain village, southern part of Haiti called Daemon, which in English is Beyond the Mountain. I always liked that name. I thought it was a pretty awesome name. And I am John Leininger. I've been involved in Haiti for over 40 years and well over 100 teams to Haiti. So on one of those teams, I met you again about 2009. And I think you have an interesting story to tell us. So Joshua, why don't you start by talking to us about what you remember about your life way back when, living in the mountains in Daemon, Haiti.
All right. I lived in the village of Daemon. It wasn't really a village. We were far away from people. We didn't get to see people much. We were on our own, basically. My house was made out of trash and debris that we found out on the roads and stuff like that. It was a super small house, barely enough room to fit everybody in. And we had a goat. We had two goats. And like 3 chickens, and I had my own pet chicken, and it was great. I had so much fun with that chicken.
I didn't even know you had a pet chicken,
yeah,
so see, I'm finding out things already.
It was a rooster, and we bonded. It was like my best friend in the world. I was the firstborn of my entire family, so I'm the oldest out of, I don't know how many siblings now. I haven't been back in a long time, so I haven't seen what they look like. But I remember my sister and my little brother. I remember when my sister was born. She was born when I was 5. I remember coming back from school. It wasn't really a good education there. Coming back from school, walked into the house, and I heard my mom crying. And then my friend was with me, and I started crying because I didn't know what was happening. And then the next day, I realized I had a new baby sister, and it was a great experience. I had to do some really hard labor when I was younger. I had to do carry the water, go grab the water from the well, and bring it up to the family. And I had to climb the mango trees, pick the mangoes from the trees. We didn't have that much food back then. We had to steal for our food, and I was really smart back then. I knew how to steal without people noticing, and yeah.
Oh. Well, now, how old are you now?
I am 20 years old.
No, I'm talking about in that time frame.
Oh, time frame?
When you're stealing things and
I was like 5.
Carrying water.
Around 5, which you wouldn't expect from 5-year-olds going around carrying water in their heads with their mom.
And that does surprise me because I'm the standard 5-gallon water bucket weighs about 35 pounds. And at 5 years old, you're not too much bigger than that yourself.
Yeah, I was always impressed with my mom balancing it on her head with the head wrap thing. I was like, whoa, I can't wait till I can do that. Me and my mom had a great relationship. We were like best pals and everything. My grandmother, she lived close by. I would walk to her house, and she gave me a slingshot once, and I killed my first bird with it, and we had that for dinner. It was great. My dad, he'd come home. He was not really good to my mom. He'd beat her. He'd also beat me also. He was very abusive to us, and he didn't really take care of us like a true dad would. So it was mostly my mom taking care of the entire family and that. So I didn't really have a good relationship with my dad, because if I didn't do stuff fast enough to his liking, he would make me go get a swish from the backyard and beat me with it. And yeah,
wow,
that was
I'm sorry for that. That's just not good.
Yeah,
and certainly bad parenting for that bad.
So because that made me not trust parents very much, because I feel like they'd be doing something, because that was what my environment was. Like, come home, and then my dad's home, and then he'd yell at my mom, beat her up, and then he'd come at me and start hitting me for no reason. I don't at all. So yeah, that was my relationship with my dad.
Wow.
My mom finally got tired of it, of my dad beating us up, and she wanted a better life for me. So she found a neighbor that had a motorcycle, and then told her to take care of me. And so she took me on a motorcycle down the mountain, and that's when we met you guys on the road. And that's where I met my adopted dad now, because he was with you on that trip.
So yes, we were driving in our Land Cruiser, as I remember, and your dad was in the right seat. I was driving, and you carry on from there.
yeah. And then I think she pulled up in front of you guys, stopped you guys, waved you guys on. She's like, I can't take care of this kid. Can you guys do something about it? And of course, my dad and you guys had a loving heart, and there wasn't enough room in the Land Cruiser. So I sat on my adopted dad's lap that he adopted me from now. It was a great experience. I fell in love with him like first sight. My eyes were wide. I was like, whoa, never seen a white person before in my life. And I was like, this guy seems loving and caring. And then we went
I might mention that was a 12-hour trip back to the village from Deamon at that point. The roads are a little better now, but in that time frame, it was a long trip, and you sat on his lap the whole time, as I remember.
I thought, yeah, time flew fast. I was like, because we got to the orphanage, and then I was like, oh, we're already here and stuff like that. I seen all these people. I've never seen that many people before, and I got dropped off, and my dad came in. I was like, I wanted to go with him because he was about to leave then. And I was like, oh, I'm going, I said in Creole, I'm going with you. And he's like, no, you can't. No, you can't. But he fell in love with me. And then he said, I'll be back on Friday. And then, so when I was in the orphanage, I went around telling all the kids that I'll be leaving on Friday and stuff that. And it was like a couple years later that I actually left on Friday. But in the orphanage, I didn't like getting in trouble. So I stole food too, and if food fell on the floor, the kids were like, ew, I'd eat it because I was like starved. I was like one of the skinniest kids there and malnourished, and people took pity on me. And when the Americans came, they would actually feed me some food, give me like the best food and treat me well, and all the other kids got jealous about it. And when in Haiti, you didn't really care where you went to the bathroom. You just went where you are, because I only had a shirt. So I just went where I was, and I would go in my sleep, and I would grab the other kid's clothes, put it on myself, and then put my wet clothes on him and then roll him into my pee so it looked like he did it, so I wouldn't get in trouble about that. And then I first, my adopted sister that's adopted with me, her name's Vaggie. I met her in the mountains when we were like friends in the mountains, and then I realized she was in the orphanage, but she was really sick at that time, and she was
9 years old, 32 pounds.
Dang, yeah, she was super sick.
Let's see. Besides the malnutrition, she had TB, and we for sure didn't think she was going to live. When I first saw her overnight. But God intervened, and she is now in college in Indiana, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, in college in Indiana, and doing well. Almost finished too. But yeah, when at that time, my dad came back. He's like, oh, we're all three gonna get adopted together because he fell in love with us. And so Rachel, who was 16 at that point, was like our mother figure. She took care of us. When Vega was so sick that I couldn't eat her food, but I didn't care. I was so hungry because if I ate her food, I'd probably get the sickness. But I took food from her one time, and Rachel got really mad because she was trying to protect me from getting sick and stuff like that. So she spanked me with the belt, and so
I'd never heard that story either.
Yeah, she spanked me with the belt, and I was like, wee! And I cried like a baby. It was a great story. It was a great time for learning experience because I had to learn that stealing wasn't right and stuff like that. And then they got adopted. I was gonna get adopted first, but my papers didn't go through. So I went to the airport with them, and then I got turned back to the orphanage because my papers didn't make it through.
Okay, let me just point out what happened there. Mm-hmm. It was after the earthquake, and the United States was allowing people whose adoptions were not complete to come to the United States and complete them then because of the chaos in Haiti. The prime minister had to sign each one of the adoption papers, and there were 2 in the stack that we had given him, and he just forgot to sign them. That simple. And it was chaos beyond that because the next week they were starting to require Haitian passports in a much longer process. So you kind of got into a more difficult situation simply because he forgot to sign yours and thought I could remember the other boy's name, but yeah, that's what took so long, and that's why you were the last one really to come over after the earthquake.
Yes, and I did leave on a Friday. I got to America like Saturday, I think. Oh no, but it was Florida. We got to Florida and made it after 6 months waiting because my other siblings were already in America for 6 months, but I couldn't go to where they were at because I had stuff in my hair like lice and all these germs and stuff and worms and stuff. They had to take care of me in Florida. I got my hair shaved in the hotel in Florida with my dad's beard razor that he had. So, and then he put the antibacterial stuff on my head so I wouldn't pass it along to those people. I was super skinny. My mom could put her pinky and her thumb around my thigh. That was how skinny I was.
Goodness. Wow.
And now I'm pretty strong, but I've been growing up. And then we got to America. I didn't know anything in English or anything. I was like, whoa, I've never seen so many cars, so many people in my entire life. And I'd never been on an airplane before. So it was like a shocking experience for me. But I loved it. My eyes were wide open, trying to suck everything in.
And how old were you then?
I was 8. I was 8 at that point.
Wow.
So
okay.
I'd been in the orphanage for like 2 years at that point. And then we got to the house and I saw Duke, which is our dog, for the first time. And we bonded. I was like, oh, it was like, because I had a pet chicken and I was like, oh, another pet. And then the dog actually answers your call and stuff like that. So me and the dog bonded. And then my brother, who's 2, was the same size as me. So my mom used his clothes to dress me when I was 8.
Yeah, you're talking about a biological brother.
Yep, yeah. my biological white brother.
Yeah. Okay.
So he was 2 at that point, and he weighed more than I did when I was 8 years old, and even his clothes didn't fit me, and they were too big for me. So I used his clothes for a while. I grew pretty fast. I also learned because my mom gave us books just to test us out. She gave us a picture book, and I held the book right and was looking at the picture. And my other baggie, she held the book upside down because she didn't know absolutely anything because she was sick, and she was sick before because she was been in the hospital for so long. Her brain was like numb and stuff like that. And then in Texas, we moved to San Antonio in Texas. We lived in a really big house. In my opinion, it was like a mansion because I lived in like a closet looking house and it was trashed out and stuff like that. Yeah. And I had the best time with my siblings there for a year. in the backyard, we would create my sister would make mud pies, and me being the Haitian, actually ate the mud pies because I thought it was real food, because I didn't have that much food back then. I ate everything that was put in front of me. My mom finally told me, like, yeah, that's not right. Eating mud is not nutritious. So she gave me actual food. And she gave me, when I first ate at a restaurant, I had 4 plates of food, full adult size servings, because I'd never seen so much food in my life. So
Unbelievable.
I think it was Golden Corral we went to, and I had 4 whole big plates full with food and ate every single bit of it. And everybody was looking at me like, what the heck? So, yeah, I've always been a big eater since then. And we moved up to Alaska 2000, the end of 2011, and got there around 2012. We drove all the way up to Alaska from
that.
San Antonio.
That's quite a drive.
Yeah, a long drive. And ever since then, I've lived in Alaska for 12 years, learned the culture of America, went to church, told people my story at church, and I didn't really talk about my abusive dad much because it wasn't something I thought would affect me. But as the years went by, it started affecting the relationship with me and my parents, because I didn't trust them because of my past. I didn't trust any parental guidance, and I was like, not really. I didn't listen very well and stuff like that because I didn't want to get beaten again. I was like in my own world, doing my own thing. And one day we went to church. My pastor, his name's Pastor Kent. It was a prayer night thing, and I got touched so hard. I was crying really hard because I heard that there's a Father in heaven who loved me and who cared for me. Because back in Haiti, we did voodoo was our god. Voodoo is like the devil. We worship the devil because we had to shut every single curtain in the house, be tucked in all the way, and cover our heads, because if we have any body parts out, we'd get grabbed and taken down to hell. So it was more of a fear factor. And we had the voodoo dolls and stuff in our house, so to keep the spirits away. But when I learned that there was a Father in heaven who loved me and wants to take care of me, and not one who wants to scare me and burn me, so I was like, I was caught into tears because I felt true love for the first time. I felt the Holy Spirit touching me, and ever since then I've been growing in God. But I've had struggles of my father again, and I've never figured out how to forgive him until, like, 3 weeks ago. I figured out how to forgive him, I was going through some stuff, so I wrote a poem about it, about me knocking on the door of Jesus' heart, trying to come in, so I wouldn't go through that stuff again. I can read the poem right now. I have it.
I think that'd be great.
And I wrote this poem in 5 minutes because I was like so into trauma, and I couldn't cry because I haven't been able to cry for like the past 12 years because I didn't know how to show emotion. I still don't. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I haven't cried for what my dad did to me. I haven't cried when I realized my dad died. I didn't cry or anything. I just felt numb. I just didn't know because he was such a abusive father to me. And
so we received word about a month ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a month ago.
That your dad had died in an accident. We don't, and that's still all I know. I don't know if it was a motorcycle accident or what type of accident it was, but found out that he'd actually died in Damon. So,
yeah. When my mom took me to a restaurant with my pastor, Pastor Judah. He was my youth pastor, and told me that I couldn't eat. I just felt numb. I didn't know if I was feeling sad about it or happy or relieved. It was all these emotions because my dad was not the best figure in my life at all, especially at that young of an age. So I wrote a poem, It's called The Knock. It was me actually praying to God and seeing if he would let me into his heart, into his life full on, so I can be with him and do what he wants me to do. So here I go. Hello, anyone there? Hear my cry of desperation. Hear my voice of reconciliation. Is anyone there to hear my cries? Does anyone care that I'm alive? Can someone help me? I feel like a mold all inside, like rotted flesh in the night. I knock and no one answers. I cry out to the void and hear no reply. I am alone in my mind. My soul aches. My heart burns. My lungs heave. I can't breathe. Let me in. I feel the burning deep pains. Something dark is chasing me. Please forgive me of my sin. Make me whole and new again. I want you to be in my life. I've been wandering far and wide to hear your voice on this night. Let me in, be my guide. I can't keep swimming against this tide. I carry a burden on my shoulders. I can't walk any farther. Father, help me, let me in. I need you now. Forgive me of my sins. So that's,
Wow.
that's
Amazing. 5 minutes is all it took for that?
Yeah, 5 minutes. That's what, yeah.
Okay. Do you think of that as when you accepted the Lord, or what? Tell us about your spiritual
I think,
walk.
I think of that because when I opened the Bible, it went to, I took a picture of what it went to. Well, it's not there, but it was a scripture that helped me through what I was going through, and it made me feel more loved than I've never ever felt before. It makes me feel like,
and that was just a verse that you turned to.
yes, randomly. I was like, God,
seeking the Lord.
Yeah, I was like, God,
how
speak
often
to
God
me.
will do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, it's time for me to tell my story to others and to show them my struggle and my walk with God, and to show them that anything is possible. And I made a quote, like, if life was easy, then it would be called heaven.
Wow.
So God said life is not easy. It's your faith in me that will help you through this walk. And then your reward is heaven, where there's no more tears, no more sorrow, no more people beating you up, no more hatred. It's all love. And that's what I can't wait for. So.
God is love. And the first two, when Jesus was asked what's the most important thing, he said, love the Father, love the neighbor. So it is love. That's an awesome story.
Thank you.
So anything else you'd like to talk about in Alaska? Or how about your future? We'll go to your future.
Now I was behind in school because I didn't start school till I didn't start American school. They started me all over again. I didn't start till I was 8. So you can imagine like how much I got bullied for it, but I worked really hard to catch up. I did 3 years of school in 1 year just to try to catch up.
Awesome.
So I won't get bullied about it and stuff like that. But I'm still 1 year behind. It's not as bad as
That's
it
not
was.
much.
Yeah, since I was starting preschool when you were 8, it's a pretty good accomplishment when you're 20 and a freshman in college. So I am now a freshman at UAA University and practicing property management.
So that's University of Alaska.
Yep, University of Alaska, Anchorage. And I like it there. It's great. I've made so many friends. I still have friends there. I have a best friend there who we talk about everything about my life, and he would talk about his life. And it's a great experience. And I hope to graduate there and then move here, get a small house and then rent it off to people, and then go to Alaska, back to Alaska in the summer and fish, commercial fishing during the
So you've done that two summers in a row already,
I've done
right?
Two years.
Get on a boat and go out in the deep blue for 2 months. Is that right?
Yep, and make lots of money while doing that.
That
It's
sounds
really nice.
very hard work to me.
It is.
I've watched the series on TV, and it looks unbelievable what happens.
Yeah.
But that just says you're a hard worker.
Yeah.
Not too many people will do that summer after summer, for sure.
Yeah, doing that, we almost got crushed by a whale this summer because it breached right in front of our boat.
Oh, my
and it was
goodness.
20 feet away and almost landed on top of our boat. It was a shocking experience. I was like, what the heck? I was not ready for it. So it was a great experience. And we got the boat stuck on a sand dune, so we had to wait like 2 hours for the tide to come in to get off.
goodness sakes.
So it's an adventure. It's fun.
Well, Josh, you have had an incredible life, and God doesn't make mistakes. He's given you that life for a purpose, and you're telling as you tell your story here today, that's part of what He has set up for you to do, to share your story, help other people through their hard times that have had similar type backgrounds. And I pray that you're led to do that, and that you continue to do that throughout your life. And you have many years to go. So that's awesome. It is a joy for me to see you growing into such a fine young Christian man. And I look forward to watching what the Lord has for you even past this.
Amen. I can't wait to see what He has in store for me. I know He has great plans for me. I've been prayed over a lot of times, and people said I have the leadership spirit in me. Like I'll be a leader with people, and I just can't wait to see what God does with that. And yeah.